Toy Story 5 dominates, Amazon cancels OpenAI film, and Hollywood goes to Reddit? All this and so much more in this episode of Beyond the Screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of Beyond the Screen. I'm your host, Ryan, and with me, as always, is Jake. Wait, no! It's not Jake!
I've been turned into a woman.
I'm
a gorgeous woman.
He'd be like, Jake would be like, no!
Yeah.
No. This is Beyond the Screen. And joining me today is our lovely director, who's usually behind the scenes, beyond the screen, if you will, and jumps from the ether onto our stage to fill in, because Jake is cooler than us and he has other things to do. So,
yeah.
He
gets outside.
What?
He gets outside of the house. He does outside extracurriculars and gets to do cool stuff. But
I can't believe that.
We miss you, Jake.
Yeah. The show, this is going to be a really fun one because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. But as always, we love you, Jake, and we miss you. And we'll see. He will be back next week. So don't fret. Don't fret. He'll be back soon. However, me and Emily got this, and I'm excited to talk a lot of film news with Emily. But before we get into that, what's up? How are you? You doing good?
I am doing good. I have a lovely little iced coffee. I'm hanging out with my cats. I got to dabble in some film recording today for work, so I am a happy little clam. How about you?
I'm pretty tired, mainly because I got back. I'm as pale as I still seem. I did get back from like the south, from like the beach, from Savannah, Georgia. Me, my wife, and two of our closest friends went down for about a week down to Savannah, Georgia, which is a lovely little town. Like we got an Airbnb like in the middle of literally the city, like just a couple blocks from downtown. So we had just like literally everything was close by. And it's just such a lively little, like the Savannah College of Art and Design is down there too. So there's just like this lovely, it doesn't feel like a college town, but like everything is like walkable. There's a lot of like cobblestone streets. So it feels like, it's very cool. And so we had a really good time. We went to the beach. Tybee Island is nearby. And so we went and hung out once or twice. And so it was a good time. We got dinner. There's a lot of really good food places.
I bet.
But the reason I'm exhausted is because we drove back today. So I drove 9 hours and then literally got in, said, I've got to make coffee and prep a podcast. And here I am because film news doesn't stop. Film news doesn't wait. And there's nothing else I'd rather do than sit in the booth and give you guys your film news. So
yes, we're dedicated journalists.
Look at us.
Committed.
Bro, it's strong terminology to call me a journalist. I cannibalize other journalism's work, and I say, this is what happened.
I think you mean amplify and elevate their voices.
And those are both very true as well, and I like to think we put our own little opinionated, fun spin on it. So it is more entertainment, but anyway, we have a lot of fun here, and we're so excited to do this for you guys today. We're going to start with box office. We always start with the box office news. To start our starting segment, we go over our predictions from the previous week. So let's see how we did in terms of our correctness. So for those who are new here, me, Jake, and who we call TJ, which is Claude, it is AI, we're all competing against each other to see who, at the end of the season, when the Oscars roll around next March, who was the most accurate in the box office from the top 1 through 5. This past week, I got my second 5 of 5 of the season in 13 tries. This might be the 14th try. I'm blanking on which number we're on, but thank you, Emily. My second out of 14, 5 out of 5. I have 36 right on the season thus far. 5 out of 5, I had predicted Toy Story 5 at 1, Disclosure Day at 2, Obsession at 3, Backrooms at 4, and Scary Movie 6 at 5. Jake right behind me with 4 out of 5. His season total is up to 39, so Jake gets to hold on to that lead, getting 4 out of 5 correct. He predicted the same top 4 as I did, so Toy Story 5, Disclosure Day, Obsession, Backrooms, but he had Death of Robin Hood starring Hugh Jackman at 5. Did not pan out, so Jake gets 4 out of 5. His hot streak continues. If you remember, before the past month, the dude was behind but me and TJ by 2 or 3 points, and he has now gone up 2 or 3 points, so his plus minus is really high in the past 4 or 5 weeks, so Jake continues his hot streak. And coming in third this past week is Claude. Claude, if you're new here, is hit or miss. He usually hits 1 or 5. He doesn't really do in the middle. This week is odd because he did hit 3 out of 5. Predicting the same top 3 as me and Jake, Toy Story 5, Disclosure Day, and Obsession, but getting 4 and 5 wrong by flipping Jake's 4 and 5, putting Death of Robin Hood at 4 and Backrooms at 5, getting those two wrong, pushing his season total to 34. If you're keeping track, Jake is in the lead with 39. I'm in second place with 36, and TJ has 34. That is how tight this race is. Listen, what's interesting about this whole thing, I say it every week, and I usually do that for new audiences, for new audience members, because we're a growing channel, and we love every single one of you from returning to new faces. TJ has the entirety of the internet. He is Claude. He's an educational based software, an AI. He can pull from anywhere, but he still is not beating two dudes who are just betting. Essentially, like we don't use any analytics. We don't go to any analysts. We don't do projections. We look at the previous weeks and we try to say, what's the common pattern? What do we think will happen? We're literally betting. And somehow Jake and I are swinging a better batting average than an AI with the internet.
I make jokes that Claude TJ taps into our previous podcast episodes and then kind of like works on our predictions to make his own predictions. So
yeah, honestly,
because sometimes we'll be making the predictions and then we'll ask TJ and then he'll copy one of our exact predictions. So I'm like, he's in the walls. It's in the walls.
That might be foreshadowing for later in the episode or later in this segment.
Perhaps.
Someone looks an awful lot like a bot today, and we will get to that here in a second. Yeah. Where? No. Let's go ahead and get into that top 5. Go from top to bottom and tell you exactly how they went and dive into those numbers. So let's see who came where. Starting at number 1, Toy Story 5 won the weekend with a huge debut, followed by Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day at 2. Obsession Will Not Die. It sticks around at 3. This is like its 5th straight week in the top 3. It just will not go away. Backrooms stays at 4. It was at 4th last week. And Scary Movie 6 drops to 5. The comedy still pulling in a lot of money. We'll talk about it. But first, let's go back to Toy Story 5. In its debuting weekend, the film earned $160 million domestically and pulled $312 million globally on a $250 million budget. It is not out of the red yet. On production, it's out of the red and into the black. However, especially with these big films, you can usually double the production of with marketing. So if they spent $250 to make the film, they probably spend another $200 to $250 to market the film, especially with Disney. So they need to probably hit around the $500 million mark to really start earning money. They earned 300 of that 500 in one weekend. So Toy Story 5 is going to be very profitable and probably going to be another $1 billion hit for Disney and the House of Mouse. This is the biggest opening of the year thus far, and of course it belongs to Disney and Pixar as the 5th installment into our childhood franchise continues to do well every single time it releases. This film is the lowest rated of the franchise, and spoiler, it has a 93% of Rotten Tomatoes. Let that sink in. In 5 installments, its lowest rating in almost 30 years is 93%. This opening also makes Toy Story 5 the second biggest debut for an animated feature behind The Incredibles 2. So Pixar has dominated no, this isn't shocking to anybody, but Pixar has dominated for a long time, and now it owns the top 2 highest grossing, or biggest debuting, I should say, animated feature films of all time. And as I said earlier, 93% from the tomato meter. Fans and critics are both loving it. Critics, the popcorn meter, gave it a 95%. Very rare unification, an average of 94 between fans and critics. Usually they're on opposite ends of on the poll, but not today. So Toy Story 5 continues to dominate. Coming in second in its second weekend in theaters is Disclosure Day, earning $17 million domestically and pushing its global total to $160.4 million. Dropping by over 60% in ticket sales, the latest Spielberg is showing to have less legs than expected. As the Daily's newsletter points out, which if you love film and entertainment and you want to keep up with this stuff, we're not sponsored, but I will say I love the Dailies. It comes out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's a great way to keep up with all this stuff because Lord knows there's infinite ways of getting your information, and the Dailies does a really good job at putting them together for you. But anyway, as the Dailies pointed out, younger audiences just were not connecting with this extraterrestrial film. They do not care. Older men love this film, which is not shocking. Spielberg is every 50-year-old plus his favorite director, which for good reason. But not clicking with their kids or their grandkids. Coming in third is Obsession in its 6th weekend in theaters, earning $14.2 million domestically and pushing its worldwide tally to $333 million. I don't have to say again that its production cost was only $750,000. I don't have to say that Curry Barker already has a lot coming after this. We'll talk about that later. There's nothing more I could say about this film other than this. Obsession just became the third film since 2017, only the third film in the last decade to cross $200 million earned domestically, joining the likes of Coco and Sinners.
Hey, so that's actually insane.
Isn't that nuts?
The third film, and you're not even saying the third film in a certain genre. You're saying the third film since 2017. That's crazy.
Yeah. Films do not earn hundreds of millions domestically. They usually make their money worldwide. If you cross 100 million in the States, that's considered a massive W. This is the third film since 2017 to cross that $200 million mark.
That's insane.
Yeah. Coming in fourth is The Backrooms in its fourth weekend in theaters, earning $7.3 million domestically and 301 thus far globally. So Backrooms, these YouTuber films, we have more to say about that later too, but Obsessions, Backrooms, they will not go away. And rounding out our top five is Scary Movie 6 in its third weekend in theaters, earning $6.7 million domestically, putting its global tally to $201.9 million. Others from around the box office beyond the top five, Leviticus and Death of Robin Hood both debut to top 10 spots, earning 8th and 9th, respectively. So, Emily, looking at the rest of the box office, kind of looking around, looking at what we talked about, what catches your eye? What stands out to you?
I am so disappointed that Scary Movie 6 dropped so rapidly. And after doing like a 2 a.m. deep dive on it because I couldn't sleep, it looked like a lot of people. Have you seen it, Ryan?
Mm-mm.
I haven't seen it either. I'm really looking forward to it. But a lot of people in the popcorn meter, I was reading the reviews, and a lot of them were like, I'm a diehard Scary Movie fan. I've watched all of them. Like, this is one of my favorite franchises. And the humor just wasn't there. And that we were kind of expecting that in a way because it's 2026. A lot of Scary Movie humor isn't exactly politically correct. It's not really the right environment for a movie like that right now. But a lot of people said that the humor just fell flat. A lot of jokes fell flat. They were doing a certain type of humor, like way too oversaturated. And it's like a couple of people said they walked out like after a while because they were just getting so fed up with it.
Yeah.
That's something I'm disappointed about. Obviously I'm a big Scary Movie fan. My sister and friends just went to see Obsession. I can't see that just because I can't do like horror and stuff. I saw a clip from behind the scenes and the acting looked like it sucked. No offense, I'm a really big acting critic, but they saw it and absolutely loved it. I asked my sister, who's also a huge acting critic, and she said no, it was amazing. I felt so sick to my stomach afterward. I could not even process anything. Those are my thoughts. So that now that I have that insight, I'm not surprised that Obsession has lasted this long in the top five. However, what you just said is absolutely shocking. It's the third movie since 2017 to earn that much domestically is absolutely crazy.
I know.
And hey, but like good going for our indie movies though, like good representation.
I should clarify. There is a key word in there that I think I left out as I'm rereading. It's original, third original film.
I see.
So I want to make sure. I think I might have missed that in my read through. The third original film since 2017, which is still a big deal. Like original films don't earn 100 million plus. So I want to make sure that's clarified. It's an original film.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are hungry for more original films because all we get are like sequels.
Yeah.
And adaptations of books, and people are kind of tired of it. But I will say it's not really that original. I mean, how many times do we see the be careful what you wish for trope?
It's interesting just because like I've seen a lot of people talk about the dynamic of like if you switched it and if it was like a girl doing it to a guy, it would be a romance. It wouldn't be a horror movie. Like it would be like the dynamic would shift tremendously. Like if a woman was wishing that a man and that man was doting and was like kind of acting crazy, like it would completely switch genres. You can't do that roles reversed. So I think that's where it's interesting is that it's like this is very specific to the time and place that it's in. But also, I think, like, we'll talk a lot later. We're getting into a lot of stuff that we're going to hit on later. But not only did it have a built-in fan base with Barker himself, who was a content creator, who had millions of followers beforehand. But, again, people are hungry for original stories. And I think that the fact that this is a really good original story that people genuinely have attached themselves to with new names, new faces, and it's just unique, they're in droves. People feel like they haven't seen this before. which is interesting to your point because we have to an extent, but something is so interesting and ingrained in this one that people feel like they haven't. So there's a lot of uniqueness about it.
That brings me to another point. I'll just say this quickly that I thought I read the entire synopsis online because I wanted to see if I could handle it. I would not be able to after reading the synopsis. I thought it was more of a it was like a demonic presence that went over the Nikki,
Mm-hmm.
the lead female, and then my friend who watched it emphasized that it wasn't like a demonic presence. It truly was something else,
Yeah.
like an otherworldly kind of thing. And the weird stuff that she did in it wasn't like a demonic presence. It was just because she loved bears so much, like the lead so much.
Yeah.
That's different to me because I was reading it and it felt like it was just like more of like it was like a demon themed
Right.
spirit supernatural thing, and it wasn't supernatural. That's where it would pique my interest. So I can kind of see how people are liking that aspect. It's less following the theme of the be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. And well, so one, too, like I have two thoughts, but like, firstly, what's interesting too is that like you can see Nikki fighting. Like there are times where she snaps out of it and then she comes back. So it isn't a possession, but it's odd how it is like an other, which is what's so cool. And that other, that there's not really a description of what the other is. You just see it. And that is the best thing. Sometimes you just say and don't, or you just show and don't say, right? Like sometimes that's just the best. And that like, and this is, I feel like I pick on this film every single time I talk about it, but this is the thoughts we're having now is everything I thought Longlegs was going to be. Where in the sense of like Longlegs was so cool when Nick Cage as Longlegs was just scary. Like I didn't need to know why he was so freaky. The concept of these people look like it's a murder suicide, but the only way they know that it's not that is because without fingerprints, without footprints, without any discernible evidence of any other human being besides the people who are within the affected murder radius, were these letters that were coded, encrypted, that they could not crack, or they did crack, but you get what I'm saying. It's like they couldn't figure out what was going on. That was so cool, and you just need to let me live in the fact that this man is sadistic and really good at what he does, and you can hint towards paranormal. But then it went to like demon, and it's like, well, now I've seen that before. Like you've shown me too much. And I think another one was like Nope from Jordan Peele did that too. It's like the last third of the movie you see the alien, and it's like it was so much scarier. So much scarier when I didn't know. When the things that I saw beforehand were so much scarier when I didn't see what it looked like in the sunlight. And so, But anyway, but yeah.
So they had what Obsession had at the beginning, and then they just revealed it, and then it kind of just like.
Yeah, it's like they got too excited with their own concept, and then they revealed it, and it was just like, again, if Longlegs was just really good at what he did and there was hinting towards there was something helping him but you don't know what it is, and like that would have been really sick, because then it's like this guy's so, it's like Mike Myers. It's like for forever Mike Myers was freaky, but why is he able to do that? How does he teleport? No one knows. He just can do it. It's so, I don't know. I'm very happy to see Obsession. I do want to go back to one last thing that you said before we get into our predictions. Going back to Scary Movie 6, every film in that franchise has terrible ratings. Every Wayans brother, yes.
Popcorn meter.
Yeah, a lot of them have bad popcorn meters too.
They're so good.
It's the Wayans brothers, regardless of what film. Like I mean, A Haunted House, White Chicks, like all of them have terrible reviews because I think these films are better in retrospect. Because I think that when you can point and say, oh, yeah, that's a time capsule of that point in time, one, and two, it's better enjoyed at home, like when you're not surrounded by others who could be offended by the joke.
I see.
Yeah, like, I feel like that could be kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I will leave it at this because I think a lot of people like it for different reasons. I said it a second ago. I'll restate it now. Scary movies are better in retrospect than they are because people are going to have their opinions about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I will refuse to believe it until I see it. I know there might be jokes that won't land, but comedy's tough, and I'm not going to hold them for that.
Yeah.
With that out of the way, let's do our box office predictions and get out of segment one. I will lead. I usually make Jake lead, and I'm going to do it because Jake's not here, and I'm going to make fun of him a lot because we'll just because he can't defend himself, and I have no honor. I'll do it. I'll make fun of him.
All right. Yeah,
I'm just kidding. So I predicted Toy Story 5 at 1, Supergirl at 2, the follow-up to Superman this past summer, 2 summers. Was it past summer or summer? I think it was a year ago. I'm very interested to see. I almost wanted to flip these two just because I feel like there's such a hunger following Peacemaker, following where kind of like, where's James Gunn going with this? This is the true follow-up to one of the best films of last year, one of the best superhero films of the past decade. Like, I'm very curious to see. However, with Toy Story 5 earning, again, it earned 160 domestically in one weekend. It's not going to drop below like 90 next week, especially with, it might earn another 100. That's where the problem begins, because I don't think Supergirl will earn over 100. And like, if it earns 100, that's crazy. So I will say Toy Story 5 Supergirl, then Jackass, the final installment into the comedy bro, whatever you want to call it. It's not even pranks. It's more just stunts of where they hurt each other. It's the last one. Johnny Knoxville and Kang's retiring. And why not send them off with a bang? So I think they will come in third because the first two are just too difficult. There will be a huge audience for that for those who loved the franchise before. It'll tank like Scary Movie did in its second weekend. But in its first weekend, I think it'll catch third, mainly because Disclosure Day is already falling hard. And then I have Obsession at 5. I have Disclosure Day at 4. The thing is, Disclosure Day and Obsession this week are separated by less than 3 million. I do not foresee Disclosure Day dropping another 60%. I think both will drop between 30 and 40. Obsession will stick around. But if they drop around the same with a almost $3 million head start for Disclosure Day, I'm just going to play it safe and slide them down. I don't foresee Obsession taking over Disclosure Day just yet. Do I think Obsession will fall out of the top 5 after next week? No. I think there's a real chance that Disclosure Day after next week finally slips out of the top 5 and Obsession holds on to that 5th spot. Not looking at what comes out in the next few weeks right now. But anywho, the point is, I think that Disclosure Day will have a very slim margin come this time next week. So I have Toy Story 5 at 1, Supergirl at 2, Jackass at 3, Disclosure Day at 4, and Obsession at 5. I'll go ahead and say very quickly Jake's, and then Emily, I do want you to read yours because I know you usually predict with us, but you ask us not to read them, but you're hosting today, so I'm not saying you're obligated, but I would like to hear your reasoning. So Jake predicted Toy Story 5 at 1, Supergirl at 2, and Jackass at 3. How original. 1 through 3 is all the same as I am. However, this is where me and him start to differentiate, is he has Obsession at 4 and Disclosure Day at 5. I know they're very similar. It's really tough whenever you have two films like Toy Story 5 and Supergirl. Like, they're going to compete for one. I think that's going to create this divide between the returning Obsession and Disclosure Day and the rising Toy Story 5 and Supergirl, where audiences really will be. That's why Jackass will be there at 3. Again, we had just described the real difference between Obsession and Disclosure Day is going to be very slim, so this very well could be right. He also adds in a note that there is an anime wide release, but that he's been burned by that before. Anime has either made hundreds of millions in like 2 days, or it has made nothing. So I think he's probably better off doing this, but there is a real chance that I need to figure out which anime he's talking about, because I didn't see it when I looked through it, but I only opened the numbers. And if you're a regular watcher, you'll know that depending on what calendar you're looking at, they will just leave stuff off. And sometimes there will be a film that'll hit the top 5 that just wasn't on any calendar, which makes our job fun. But anywho, Jake wants to put an anime in there. He's not. His top 5 is, one last time, Toy Story 5, Supergirl, Jackass, Obsession, and Disclosure Day. And now, Emily, your top 5 for the class.
It's the same as Jake's, I think.
Yes.
I think that's what I have.
Yes.
I am so conflicted. I really don't know. I don't know what Jackass is. I have not seen that. Thanks to Ryan, I now have an understanding. I still don't, who made Supergirl?
I'm pretty sure James Gunn directed that one too.
Okay, so that's fine. So I can see that being number 2.
I can double check for you.
If there was only just like another, I don't know. I have Obsession before Disclosure Day just because Disclosure Day is not doing as great in the box office as we thought it would. A lot of people seem to think that it's kind of like lackluster, predictable. It's just like an action running chaser movie like that we all are familiar with. And Obsession is still holding strong. So that part's fine. I just don't know about Jackass.
So just to clarify, Craig Gillespie is directing this one. He also directed Cruella and I, Tonya. However, This is James Gunn. I'm pretty sure he wrote the film. He's producing it. Like, this is still his universe.
That's gonna bring people in.
I will still call this his follow-up to Superman because this is his film, or his universe anyway. However, it is technically, well, there's no technically about it. It was directed by Craig Gillespie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see Disclosure Day holding on to.
I agree.
Third.
Right now it is, well, no, it's going to definitely drop from second. I am interested to see that battle for fifth is going to be so fun between Obsession and Disclosure Day.
I mean, I don't see Obsession at 5, you know?
Well, it's hard to see it anywhere else but top 3 because it hasn't dropped from top 3 in 5 weeks.
Yeah, and it's gone back up a couple times. Yeah. It's gone from like third to second, back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, very, like, again, the staying power of that one we just can't speak enough on. And the last thing we'll talk about in our box office prediction, of course, is Claude or TJ. No shockers here. He had the exact same thing as Jake and Emily. You guys are seeming really bot-like. You guys are seeming...
No, I'm a human, I promise.
Yeah, and this is going to be really interesting come next week whenever there's very little in terms of change in the top 5. So our numbers next week, our scores, will either all be reflected, as in they will all take a jump, or we will all probably fall pretty hard and like get most of them wrong just because they're all so similar. Again, all 4 of us, but the 3 that we're keeping track of right now, the top 3 are the exact same. And it's just a flip of 4 and 5. So at minimum, if the top 3 is correct, someone's getting 3 out of 5. And so we will see. It's going to be very interesting. Again, an anime could come in second, and all of a sudden it's all screwed up. You know, it's that kind of weekend where it seems obvious, but it's not as obvious as what it normally is.
Right. There's so many factors. It's totally up in the air.
Yeah. Will audiences continue to go see Obsession after 7 weeks, or will some of those younger audiences finally start to trickle into Disclosure Day because it's a Spielberg, right? Will that anime sweep into the top 5? Will Supergirl have a bigger opening than we anticipated, with it being the next DC follow-up as it tries to compete with Toy Story 5, which could be coming down to Earth? Yeah. It'll be really fascinating to see where things lie.
Yeah. It could be Toy Story Supergirl. You know,
seriously, like it'll be fun.
Or Supergirl, Toy Story. You know what I mean? It could be either or. Yeah.
The battle for first and fourth are going to be good ones to watch.
Yeah.
With that out of the way, any other thoughts before we get out of our first segment?
Nope.
Coming up after the break, Amazon cancels their OpenAI film and Hollywood turns to Reddit. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You've made it to segment 2, which is always our major news segment. We go through a lot of stories. So in our second segment, we try to hit you with the biggest, the best, and the most talked about from this past weekend. And sometimes there's not one. So we're giving you 2. So 2 for the price of 1, which is the price is free. So you're welcome. Let's go ahead and dive right in.
Hang on, we have Beyond the Screen bucks to use up.
Oh, yeah, we do have Beyond the Screen bucks. Shout out. If you know what we're referring to and you can tell us what episode that's from, you'll get my love and affection. You should comment down below because I'll love you very much. There's no prize. I'm not even going to lie to you. But I'll be very happy that you've watched and you know where that's from.
Yeah.
But yes, 1 billion Beyond the Screen bucks to the one who can tell me what episode we first coined Beyond the Screen bucks from. Anyway, I don't even think we could do that, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's beside the point. Let's get into our first story of our main news segment. Amazon MGM drops the nearly finished OpenAI film from his last name, Italian. Luca Guadagnino.
You got this, Ryan.
I do. I'm so bad at pronunciations, especially with how fast I read. After Amazon partners with the AI firm, again, Amazon drops the film. It was nearly finished. No longer going to be released by Amazon. Reportedly, the film titled Artificial portrayed CEO Sam Altman in a negative light, creating an internal corporate conflict within Amazon now that they have a stake in the OpenAI game. Now, you might be wondering, what stake? Well, back in February, they reached a massive agreement, which they signed, giving Amazon, or I should say, Amazon gives OpenAI $50 billion. And OpenAI gets further use of Amazon's web service or AWS. So information feeding the AI versus a $50 billion assessment. And then OpenAI creates certain tools for Amazon to use. That happened, and now we're no longer getting the film. In a statement about the film, an Amazon PR rep said, quote, "We have the utmost respect and admiration for Luca as an award-winning filmmaker, not to mention a long-standing relationship that we hope to continue. We believe that Artificial will be better served if it were released by a different studio and are working closely with the filmmaking team to find the film a new home." The decision to cut Artificial loose was said to have come from Amazon MGM's boss, Mike Hopkins himself, but it is worth noting that Jeff Bezos and Sam Altman have a friendship or a relationship, with the latter going to the former's wedding last year. Remember that one in Milan that everyone talked about, how, everyone was throwing a fit about another billionaire wedding? Yeah, Sam Altman was there. And now the film criticizing him from the first guy's thing is no longer, at least not released by them. The film is to star, when it releases, someone's going to pick it up, Andrew Garfield, Jason Schwartzman, and Ike Barinholtz, and more, and was to focus on the 2023 Sam Altman controversy, in which the CEO was fired for claims of abuse amongst public worries regarding his company's technology. So a lot was going on. There's like, hey, this guy's abusing his employees, and we don't know what to think about AI. He was fired, and then like days later, he was rehired, brought right back in. So that's going to be the whole film is going to be. So I think Andrew Garfield is going to portray, or it does portray, Sam Altman himself, and Ike Barinholtz plays Elon Musk. So it's going to be very interesting. According to Variety, the film already had a multitude of test screenings and tested very positively with both critics and early crowds, with Garfield and Barinholtz portrayals as Altman and Musk specifically noted as characters audiences would, quote, like the least. As of this moment, both Netflix and Focus Features have firmly said no to acquiring the film. With A24 kind of sitting on the fence, some reports have said that they've said no, but the Hollywood Reporter has said that they screened it and they're just kind of sitting on it. They don't really know what to do. Meanwhile, indie distributors like Mubi and Neon have both expressed interest in this film, which is being called a social network-like drama, but like with some comedy elements. So we'll get to where they could potentially be released from. But are we shocked about this? Jeff Bezos pays a bunch of money to a guy to do some services for his company, and then all of a sudden the movie criticizing the said guy is just gone.
Firstly, it worries me that A24 is sitting on the fence about it, given that it's an indie distributor company. Maybe because they didn't have a hand in like creating it, and they have some editorial hesitations.
It might be a money thing too, because A24 is spending a lot of money with other projects right now. So maybe they're just like, if maybe it's more of a financial thing where they're trying to scrounge up the funds or see if they can do some financial wiggling to potentially buy it, because I feel like people would enjoy it. However, while it's a social network, like, it's not a David Fincher, like, it's not going to go to the lengths. So if you are an A24, you're spending all that money. I can imagine that it's a risk versus reward, especially where you're really diving deep into some other things right now.
Yeah.
So that would be the only reason that I, not having looked it up, not having done any of the back end stuff with like why A24 might be out. But that would be my main reason, because A24 is very busy. I mean, they just did, obviously the back rooms, right? Like that's like what everyone's talking about that. So that's why for them, but I like Mubi or Neon. Those are two very
it makes
ones.
sense. As soon as I was reading about Artificial, it reminded me of The Social Network. It's like very similar.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Oh, yeah. Didn't Disney and OpenAI have a partnership, and they just backed out?
They did. So that was when OpenAI had Sora, I believe was its name, and it was a video production AI that Disney was going to incorporate into Disney Plus so that their users could like pay a fee and create their own. But then OpenAI backed out of video production. Like they said, we're not, like they completely, like they sunset Sora as an app. So it's no longer a thing. So this seems to be the follow-up. I think we might have talked about this actually, like me and Jake in February. I feel like we did talk about the deal with Amazon. Which is why I'm kind of like I'm not shocked that this happened. I'm shocked that it took so long because in the world of business, February was forever ago. Like we're almost to quarter three, and that was in quarter one. And so it feels like, okay, this film, something too that the Hollywood Reporter pointed out was that like Amazon had read the scripts. Amazon knew
and approved it, and they knew.
Yeah, they knew what the film was about and what was going on. And then they wait until it's done and
Yeah.
literally on the cusp of either in the final stages of post-production or on the cusp of going out. And then they're like, actually, never mind, we don't want to deal with it. And it's like, I wonder.
After the agreement happened
Yeah.
almost 6 months ago.
Yeah. The
Didn't let them know
timing,
then.
the timing is what's odd, which is where I'm kind of like, I don't believe in the whole Mike Hopkins, who's the film chief at Amazon MGM. He probably was the one who signed off on it, but I feel like he probably had a lot of internal pressure to do that.
Yeah.
So that's total BS in my mind. Like I don't believe in any of that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like it's the timing for me. That's where my shot comes in. Is like, why now? Like you've already spent, you've already funded it to produce, and this is, mind you, Amazon MGM is not swimming in money right now in terms of them return on investment. Project Hail Mary was their first really profitable film.
It was very profitable.
It was very profitable, but we're talking about in months, not years, not you know, they're just recently popping out films that are profitable, and now they're cutting films that they've already funded. So I'm very interested to see what goes on with that. Yeah.
It also feels like a questionable business decision because I've heard rumors that OpenAI could be bankrupt by next year. Like they're losing that much.
Yeah, didn't they just go public as well? Like on with like investors and whatnot. Like they just went public so that they could try to stay afloat. Let me make sure. Let me double check that.
But that's like questionable on Amazon's part, and then they're getting rid of the film. This feels like just like a big PR decision. They're just trying to save Amazon's butt, basically.
So OpenAI has not. They're preparing to go public, according to CNBC. As of, let's see, when was this? So they're not public yet, I don't think. I'm trying to find when this one was published. This was June 8th, so earlier this month.
Okay.
They have confidently filed for an IPO with the Securities Exchange Commission, setting the stage for what could be one of the largest public market debuts in history. So, and this was, again, just a couple weeks ago, June 8th, from CNBC. So they're not quite public yet, but that's going to be how they're going to go to stocks and people are going to buy it because they're trying to make cash. And so they're going to like, just like Tesla or in SpaceX and all that with Elon becoming the first trillionaire this past couple of weeks. They'll have a very similar. So I think that them buying into other companies and saying like, we're like, that's how you survive is you change, you adapt. And so they're like, we'll do, Sora's not profitable, filmmaking's not profitable, so we're gonna go to Amazon and we're gonna like work with AWS to help create more tools for you to help fund whatever with data. And then we're also going to go public. So they're probably not going to go out. But the reason that they were going out was because to stay afloat, i.e. the data farms and all that, it was not enough. They could not, as a business, they were not sustaining. They were losing money to stay open, essentially. And so now that's no longer a thing for them. So, I mean, at least it looks like that. Who do we think, or who do we hope, picks up this film?
Neon.
That's very confident. Very confident of you.
Yes, it's not the people who the Social Network people.
I don't think they did the Social Network. Let me double check. But Neon is a fantastic production house. They just released Leviticus, but they were the ones who did Anora. They've won like 7 straight Palme d'Ors at Cannes Film Festival. Like they are absolutely fantastic. Hokum is one of them. They just released Exit 8, but historically, Sentimental Value, Anatomy of a Fall. They did Parasite. It Was Just an Accident, Triangle of Sadness, Titane, like I, Tonya, which is another Guadagnino film. Speaking of which, continue actually. Go ahead with what you were saying before I go.
Oh, no, that's it, basically. It just seems like that's the only level, like that's the level production house that's going to want to feature film like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like Netflix and Focus Features, you said both were like, no, like they don't want. The climate right now is so intense around AI that no one's going to want to dabble in this except for maybe like more of like an indie. I don't want to say like an indie house that doesn't have a lot to lose, but they're like,
Yeah.
heck yeah, why not? Like we'll take the swing at it. Like that's I feel like the only level of production house that's gonna try.
Well, yeah, and they've already worked with Guadagnino, who, by the way, films that this. I mean, he's a pretty substantial director. He's done Call Me by Your Name, Challengers in
Wow.
2024, Bones in All from 2022. He's done like a lot of really high profile, more art housey films, and he's worked with Neon before, which is kind
Yeah.
of where and which is where I kind of feel like as a creator, it makes a lot of sense because they already feel like they have a partnership or they have a relationship with that guy as a
Yeah.
director. So for an indie distributor, with the guy being more of a Guadagnino being an art house director already, he's had a relationship with them. I think it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense for Neon as well. And Neon just has a really good way of getting their films in front of people without the big budget. Again,
Yeah.
I mean, they think about how many, I mean, of the Palme d'Or winners I was just naming a second ago, how many of those films have won Best Picture? A lot.
Oh yeah.
Like, so in terms of a partnership of the type of film,
Mm-hmm.
the person that they've worked with, that relationship's already there, and how far they can go with it. No offense to Mubi, A24 obviously would be like the bigger one. If A24 buys in, that would be fantastic. But
Yeah.
this just feels like a Neon movie
It
anyway.
does. I agree.
So I guess in terms of who do we hope or who do I hope, I agree with you, Neon, just
Mm-hmm.
because they fit the vibe of that production house anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. The vibe. Yeah. It's consistent with
Yeah.
the genre.
Yeah, and if your comparisons are on top of it, like why I just not even just Neon, but why I think it'll get picked up, because that's something too, is that like a lot of people are saying no, and there's questions of if it even will get distributed. It will because it's being compared to imagery. So there we go, we're back. So anyway, you might not have heard me, Emily. They could hear me, so
I can
at
hear you
least I
now.
know we know that. Yeah, okay, cool. So anyway, it just makes a lot of sense. Like a director you've worked with, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So anywho, any final thoughts on Amazon MGM canceling their latest film? No, Emily does not. I will say it is just sleazy. Like it feels like a cop out. Again, you paid for it, and it makes a lot of sense. And the thing is, I'm not numb to the fact you pay $50 billion for a company. You don't want to talk bad about it because it creates a corporate conflict, like an internal conflict. I understand that.
But why not communicate it when you made the deal? Or
Yeah,
beforehand would have been even better to be like, hey, we're about to actually sign with OpenAI and we're not going to be able to do this
you should have
anymore.
just
Like,
sold it from the beginning. And so
exactly.
this just feels
Because
like
they
a
read
pain.
it. They
Yeah,
read it beforehand. They approved it. They
yeah.
gave them stamp of approval. That's just dirty. It feels really dirty. I wonder if this is even like, it's like a push to get them more visibility or engagement around the partnership. I mean, I don't know why having that decision made now would have made it create more engagement than February, but
Yeah, I worry this is a film that like if no one buys it, like now mind you, like I'd said, I gave a ton of reasons why I think it will.
oh yeah.
However, there is, because of it being in such limbo, there's also a possibility that it just becomes lost and it doesn't get released, which would be a tragedy because
Oh yeah.
Anything Andrew Garfield touches is gold.
Gold. Yep.
So yeah, I'd be very sad if this one if it
Mhm.
doesn't find a way. Again, I think it will,
I think
but
so.
we can't ignore the fact that it is still in limbo and a lot worse. Like crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll go ahead and move on. Hollywood eyes Reddit for the next Backrooms. This has been around the internet a little bit now because this is almost a week old. However, it's
Mhm.
interesting because I wanted to give my point about it, and I know that you had an opinion. So let's read the story and let's talk about why. Repeatedly called an idea incubator for new types of content, Reddit is now being seen as a place where, quote, fandoms can grow organically, and end quote, and new IPs can be formed or farmed even. Again, an idea incubator is the phrase I kept seeing popping up when reading about this. Hollywood sees Reddit as the place to incubate these new and improved original ideas. According to the Hollywood Reporter, execs in Hollywood have already found, quote, a bunch of subreddits or short stories they believe could lead to feature-length films, again, with already built-in fan bases. Currently, the concept is set to get another test post-Backrooms with a Sydney Sweeney starring adaptation of a Reddit original horror titled I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl. So this was before. So this what the reason that we're bringing it up, I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl, is because this is the next kind of like, it's just the next one in line from Reddit. But they're pointing to the Backrooms, and we're already about to get a second like kind of case study on it post the Backrooms with this other film, as they're already looking into other films on Reddit. So keep in mind that's why. So we're making sure those things are discernible. I Pretended to Be a Missing Girl was not because of the Backrooms, but it does come next, and it is the next case study for the Backrooms causing execs to go look in Reddit. Anyway, we'll move on. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, Reddit Chief Marketing Officer Jim Squires described why production houses are now all of a sudden interested in stories posted to his platform, stating, quote, I think of Reddit as the most powerful focus group that's ever existed. So that's both for discovering ideas you may not have thought of, but also for testing ideas and interacting with the communities to understand how things are being received and what's happening. Ultimately, if a studio or producer has an idea and they want to develop it, like the Sydney Sweeney idea, that's for them to ultimately reach out to the moderators and the right people on the platform to do that. And they do those things or those deals directly, but we will help facilitate when needed. However, not everyone is convinced that this is a surefire bet for Hollywood. You know, there's a lot of backlash, specifically from Peter Chernin, who the guy helped co-finance the Backrooms. So this is a guy who probably know his entertainment company called Chernin Entertainment were one of the main driving forces financially behind the Backrooms, which is one of these films even getting made. He had a very insightful take on kind of Hollywood's rush to online content creators as a source of original stories, stating, quote, every single meeting in Hollywood over the last 10 days has been, find me my YouTuber. That's not the smartest thing on earth. It's no different than saying, find me a sequel to something else. We spent 3 years on this project, and they're talking about the Backrooms. We spent a long time working on the script. We spent another year in production. It's not just saying bet on a YouTuber. It's betting on a very specific piece of content and betting on a very specific piece of talent. And that comes from the dailies. We have kind of our two sides here. Reddit is saying we love this. Obviously, Reddit would love this because that just means more people will flood to their site because they want to be the next Kane Parsons, right? The guy who financed Kane Parsons' film is saying, it's not a good idea. There's a lot of back and forth on the internet. Do we think this model ourselves will work for Hollywood?
I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Expound.
I have so many comments and questions. One, maybe if you're going to be like a writer or creator, write and create, perhaps, and maybe not like lean on other people's ideas. This is just another personal take that I think a lot of people now are depending on AI for idea generation, when maybe you should not be in this field if you can't come up with your own ideas. Shouldn't be leaning on the ideas of other people. Two, are they gonna get credit for the, like, are the Reddit posters gonna get credit for their ideas, or are they just gonna be like, hey, I actually posted about that 4 years ago on Reddit and then it's now on the big screens?
Yeah.
But I also agree with Peter because they're shooting for something and they're pulling from a pool that's not going to be consistent with what their vision is. Like, they have this grandiose vision of something being similar to the Backrooms, and so many ideas off of Reddit are not compatible with something of that scale. It's not going to translate over like they want it to.
Yeah. I think something too, I've seen this online as well, and I thought this was the opinion, and I feel like Peter is on the right path in the sense of, it's not the fact that it's a creator we recognize. Like I love Markiplier, and when Iron Lung came out, yes, that did drive me to want to go see it. Yeah. However, I knew the story behind Iron Lung. I've played the game myself. I was excited to see this guy who I knew was passionate about it, who I knew had worked on it for years, who I know can create good content, because at the same time, Markiplier had also done In Space. He had done all these things before that, right? Like, who killed Markiplier? He has been working his way up. So for that example, not just using Kane Parsons, but using Mark Fishbach Markiplier as an example, I already had proven case test studies showing that this man could do it.
Yeah.
So that was another reason he had the passion. I knew he would tell the story right, and I knew he could, like, not just tell the story right, but I knew he could create it.
Yeah.
So that was the excitement. Same thing with Kane Parsons. The guy took a really cool idea that was created in 2019 as a teenager, mind you, used his creative vision. And yes, he did create a following, but he had the vision. He was the one creating it. Everyone thought, oh, it wasn't that it was Kane Parsons that did it. It was people knew Kane Parsons was going to make something worthwhile.
Right.
So again, Chernin is on the right track, but the point isn't we want YouTubers to be making movies because, yeah, sure, it'd be cool to see, I don't know, name your favorite YouTuber credited for whatever because you've watched them for forever. But the idea is, why do you think Backrooms is taking off? It's because there was buy-in to the story. People want new stories. They want original good stories. They don't want just slop. And that leads me to my second point. I have a big fear. There's a lot of no sleep stories that have a lot of culture, have a lot of kind of, you know, community engagement that are awful. And a lot of the reason that they have that following is because it's funny, right? They're trying to be scary, like Jeff the Killer.
Yeah.
Jeff the Killer is terrible. Have you ever gone back and, like, I've not read, like, so technically I listened to, I guess you can call it an audiobook. It wasn't even that. I listened to a podcast called Creepcast from two really fun creators, Wendigoon and Papa Meat or Meat Canyon or whatever. Those two host a show where they read these stories from these subreddits and like from whether they're their own subreddit submissions or from like historical. So they've done like Jeff the Killer, or they've done some like Stairs in the Woods and all these really fun old stories that, like, do they stack up? Do they not? Like, what are our thoughts? And one of them's a voice actor. So he like does these really cool voices. Jeff the Killer was awful. Like, it is like, I knew it was cheesy, but after hearing it back for the first time since I was like a teenager, like not reading it in those eyes, but hearing it, it's like, in some like just snot-nosed, silver-spooned executive is going to say that has millions of views. Let's make Jeff the Killer. And it is going to be so much slop. And
someone unqualified is going to be like, yeah, this looks like something people like. And it's like, you're not even looking at it through the lens of a filmmaker or creator. You're just looking at like what you think is going to make the most money, and it's going to fail.
Like, again, there are a lot of those stories that if it were adapted, now one I'm going to use as an example is Stairs in the Woods, dude. That as a series, because it follows like a park ranger who is in this park.
I know that one. It's really good.
Where they just, I won't spoil it because even though it's like 12 years old now, 10 years old, it is still worth reading because it's so freaky and it's so well done.
Yes.
It is journal entries, I guess like technically subreddit entries from this park ranger who has to get these experiences off his chest. And that would be a really cool, super freaky series on like Apple TV. Like, I would like to see that. There are those. Those exist, and there are plentiful. I'm happy to see that there's the slim majority, the very slim margin of those that should get adapted. I'm excited to see those get adapted because now there's a really high likelihood that will happen.
Yeah.
But there's a vast majority around that slim margin that is just awful. That's probably going to get to first because, you know, they're more visible. Yeah. And so it's going to be, that is like my big concern is the model will kind of work because of those like the Backrooms, like Iron Lung, like Stairs in the Wood, you know, like all these different types of stories that are very, very well received and will be told very well. They will translate well to certain mediums. That will be successful. However, just like anything, Hollywood looks in the wrong direction. They're like, oh, so you like Redditors. No, it's not the Redditor that we like. It's not just the content creator. It's that these are good stories, is that these are original. People want to go see movies because they're good, not because we want to see Star Wars 18. I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
It can die. Like,
it
peacefully.
can take a break.
A long
I won't
break.
say die. It can take a break.
They need to do what did we talk about last week?
Doctor Who.
They need to do what Doctor Who's doing.
I agree.
Step back and reevaluate what it actually means and where their story needs to go. And I don't know, maybe make a plan before they start like throwing scripts in filming and.
Agreed.
Anyway, I was going to say that your other point on the other side of that coin that people aren't, and this is something that those executives are also not going to understand, is that people aren't going for just the story. They're going because they feel like they have a personal connection to the creator, and it's not just anonymous taco 1587 that's creating the story. They're like, Markiplier, I've been watching him since I was 11 years old. I know that guy. I know what he creates. I know that I enjoy what he creates. He's innovative, whatever. Kane Parsons, oh, I've been looking at his stuff since I was whatever years old. It's like they're going because they know this person, they have a connection. It feels more personal, and it's not just a random story off Reddit.
Right.
Also, my last point, and this is just a personal opinion again, is the thing that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Or is it this? No. Sorry.
Yeah, Jim
Not that
Squires.
either. Just kidding. Idea incubators.
Yeah.
That stirs something inside of me that also feels so violated with the recent advancing of technology in a way that you can't escape it and turn things off. And it's like everything now, any social media program, app is analyzing your data. It doesn't feel like it's a safe space. Everything you have is seen and observed and owned. And it's like Reddit is like the one space. And now they have ads sometimes, which is absolutely ridiculous, but it's the one space where you feel like you can just be yourself and be like and express ideas, express concerns, ask for advice. And it's this community that we have lost in every other social media platform now. I mean, look at Instagram. That used to be such a place of community. Facebook, it was to connect with other humans. And that's what Reddit is. And now it is being sourced and analyzed and scanned and stripped. What was the word he used? I don't remember the word.
He called it a focus group. The most powerful focus group that's ever existed is what Reddit Chief Marketing Officer Jim Squires described it as. Fandoms can grow organically, which actually is a perfect transition. Because I think that's actually a really astute point and a very, very wise observation, because it is sad because Reddit was kind of that place where you could just go and talk about anything.
Yes.
And find anything.
Now I'm being watched. Now there's people.
Luckily, I feel like there are corners of Reddit that will always be that way. But yeah, so for, again, people are going to post because they feel like, no, it kind of was going
now it's going to be like you're baiting, like you're throwing it out there to fish for.
It kind of was going this way anyway, but not to this extreme, because it was you had authors who were trying to I mean, that's what you do. You post it to cultivate a following. And it's that's happened. You've got a lot of people who have published works because they published the work originally on Reddit and it took off. And when they were hey, if I turn this into a paperback, would you buy it on Amazon? And they're yeah. And then now they're full-time authors. And that's great. That's fine. I don't think there's a problem with that. Cultivating an audience in that way, I don't think there's a problem with that, because there's room for it in those types of boards. But now I feel
now it's going to be all about that.
You're going to have an influx of people going to No Sleep, going to these these storytelling, short story prompt style of whatevers. And they're going to go into these subreddits and just flood ideas that don't have any merit or any sense, because they think if this happens to take off, maybe I can go write a script or get a script written and I can go get this made by Amazon. But
you know what this is also going to encourage? People pasting AI stories into Reddit, being yeah, I can find a story. I can find a story that'll be used, and they just paste some slop in there.
Quantity over quality.
Just because they want a bite, because they think they have what it takes, but they don't really feel like putting something together or whatever, because they feel the pressure of other people that are maybe posting their stories too. And it will feel so inauthentic. Instagram has become, it goes to the same point as now people are trying so hard to become influencers, that social media just feels like a platform for people trying to become influencers. And now Reddit's going to translate right over there, where it's you're not just I'm not seeing you as a real human that is just posting a story. I'm seeing you as you're trying to grab at a platform, and you're utilizing me to get you engagement to find you that platform. And this goes to the majority of the population right now, especially people at our age, is that they're so tired of being marketed to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? They're so tired of seeing ads. They're so tired of the TikTok ads. It's every other reel is an ad, right? And now it's going to translate over to a safe place where it's it's not as frequent.
Yeah. And so something too is as creators, we kind of have like we have a like stake in this, and we actually like can comment on it. Like we've made films, we
Yeah.
work in a creative field on social media, so we get both sides of this. The thing is that like I feel lucky enough that like I don't feel like this will always be a thing where like we do this, we want a following with this. Like this, it's apples to oranges, but it's very similar. It's in the same vein. When I write something and if I post it, like I do want people to see it. Do I care if they follow me? Maybe not. I feel lucky enough that I feel like, and this is how this, I'm going with a point with this, is that like I'm going to create and share because I like to make art and I like to
Right.
tell stories. Storytellers will prevail regardless of the environment that's around them, regardless of how toxic it is. And
Yeah.
that's where the stories like The Backrooms, that's where the stories like Obsession,
Yeah.
that's where Iron Lung, all of these really cool things that have come out in the past year. Sinners before that, an original work. Nora before that, an original work. All these films, one battle after another last year, they're original. And yes, we're oversaturated, and everyone's tired of being marketed to and added and
Yes.
having ads everywhere. However, I feel like I'm lucky enough that like I can make a living being creative and I can create on the side and share, but just for the sake of doing it. Would it
Yeah.
be wonderful if something that I made took off and had a following and I got paid because of that, and then name it, Disney was like, here's a couple $100 million to make it. I'd be like,
And you're like,
I literally, I like to on the show. I think there's not one singular body. The one singular person I have made fun of and criticized the most on the show is Zaslav, David Zaslav.
Yeah.
The most criticized company I've ever had on the show is Disney. I make fun of Disney. I'm telling you right now, I would sell my soul so fast. If they were to give me, I'm gonna be so for real with you. If they came up to me with $100 million and they were like, you just make your idea, or like, we will buy this. You can write the script and then we'll get, whoever to direct it. I'd be like,
sure.
I'm there, I'm totally aware of that. Like any
Yeah.
sane person would, because that's generational money.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to say like, I'm above
Yeah.
this. But what I'm trying to say is in my current state, I think that there is a level of you just got to make regardless, because these things are
Yeah.
always going to be worrisome. But the best part about us, we're social creatures, in the way we exist is through storytelling.
Yeah.
So storytelling will prevail. And so I guess like for me, it's like it is so big and it is such a problem that like this problem, while it is scary and it is sad to see and it is like invasive, like you had described.
Yes, it's invasive.
My point of view on that is like it's going to happen either way, and regardless of whether or not
Yeah.
I tell my story, like for me, if I allow that to stop me telling my story, someone's going to resonate with the story I tell, and that
Yeah.
means I am
Yeah.
stripping them of that opportunity if I allow this to discourage me.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that to sound or like snobby, but I say that
No.
to mean like you should tell your story regardless.
Yeah. I just hate that it's not, that it will be more oversaturated with people who aren't there for the art of it and for the
Right.
passion of it, and
Right.
now it's going to take longer to sift through, to scroll through whatever, to find a story that is of quality than
Yeah.
it would have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It also just makes you feel so sad. It's like sad that, happy that people like Kane Parsons can have such an awesome success like he's had, with such a cool story, but also almost resentful that you've made the big people find out our little nook, our little safe
Mm-hmm.
community. And I'm like, great, now their eyes are on us. Now that they've found it, it's kind of like, honestly, what I'm going through right now in the little town that I live in. And now new officials, or the politicians we have now, have gotten their hands all over our land, and they're tearing it up and putting grocery stores in and gas stations in and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
great, now like the wrong people have seen our little special place, and they're planting all of the stuff in it, so it's not as special anymore. But like you said, don't let that pressure people to not make stories, because those, no matter what, hopefully the right people see it, you're still going to stand out.
Yeah.
Because you have the passion behind it. It just might take a little longer to find it, but it also might be more obvious, that people are like, now this is a good story. Finally, I found a good story, because you're competing against people who are just doing it for the pressure or for hopes that they'll be found.
Yeah, I want to make, so there's one more question I have in this segment before we move on that I want to get to. But before I do that, the last thing, I want to shout out A-list celebrity who's actually good about this. And I just, like, I've talked about, I think recently, Sebastian Stan, and I bring up that man because I know it's like, hey, Sebastian Stan. The man, despite being an A-list celebrity, despite being in the MCU, which is probably going to go down as, if not already, the most successful and loved cinematic experience ever told, at least until they redo it, and it'll probably be more successful the second time. But that's not the point. The point I'm saying is that the guy loves to just make, and I know he's making a big paycheck regardless, but for example, he just was in a film from Neon, I believe. Yeah, obviously, it was from Neon. They just won their 7th Palme d'Or.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was 9. Anyway, the point is, he starred in Fjord, which is an indie film that's not getting huge marketing. No one really knows about it unless you keep up with this stuff. And he's done that a lot, where, like, he will turn around, he'll say, okay, Marvel, like, obviously, like, I'm going to make my paycheck.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go and make Fjord. I'm going to go back through his, if I can go back far enough. So he made Thunderbolts last year. He did obviously he did The Apprentice, but he did A Different Man in 2024, Falcon and the Winter Soldier in 2021. Yes, this upcoming year he's going to be in the Batman Part 2, but he did Fresh. You know, like he's done these films that are more art housey or are different, off the cuff, for the sake of the art of it, because he likes the role and he's not so tied down to just, I'm going to just take the money and do the A-list celebrity stuff.
It's not just about the money.
That's just, as we were talking about it, I wanted to give like an example of like a high profile of like artists are going to be artists and storytellers are going to be storytellers, because that's the name that just kept coming up to my head. Is like, yes, that is like a very high level. Like, this guy's a multimillionaire, like tens of times over. And that's like, no one, like hardly anyone will reach that level of success. But when we're talking about in an oversaturated market, regardless of practice, regardless of art, you're going to have people who just tell to tell. And one really successful person who I think of is Sebastian Stan.
Right.
Regardless of what that man's in, Thunderbolts, Batman, he's turning around and he's doing art house films and being awarded for it and just having fun and just being an artist.
Yeah.
Which majority of people in his shoes can't say. So all this to say, the last question I want to ask before we move on to our quick hit segment. Should future filmmakers be working to gain a following with their stories before trying to pitch to production houses, or is this just a phase? And I do want to point, this is something that's already done, again, in a similar space. But, like, I've seen it a lot with, like, comic books. I've seen it a lot with, like smaller level stories, or, like, let's say let's not even, let's say this was an example. I was at my city's local Comic-Con last year.
Yeah.
And there was this guy who was there, and he was selling the story, and it was a comic book, but he was in discussion with, I think it was HBO, to get it produced. It was an animated show, or it might have been a mixture. But the point was, he was in discussion with HBO already, but HBO wasn't willing to pull the trigger until he got a bigger following.
Really?
Yes. So that's something that already happens in essence. Like, it happens, again, more so with written word, which is why we're seeing this with subreddits. But I'm talking like published works of like, whether it's novellas, novels, comic books, that whole thing. We already kind of see it there, and a little bit in television. But now we're seeing it trickle into filmmaking.
Yeah.
Should this be the new norm? Should people be publishing their scripts? Should people be, I mean, like we do this with like YouTube, like post my short film on YouTube and pray that it gets big enough that people pick it up. But should you be trying to grow a following like the Backrooms, grow a following like these creepypastas or whatever on Reddit?
Yeah.
Or is this just a phase that will phase out and we'll kind of get back to traditional discovery?
To plainly answer your question, I can see this being something that people try and it failing, like we've just talked about, when they're like, yeah, we want YouTubers. And it's like, it just blows up, and everyone's like, never mind, that wasn't a good idea. This was just like kind of like a once in a not a once in a lifetime, but like a every blue moon kind of thing. Like people like King Parsons, like it's not going to happen often. That's what I would foresee happening. However, I have other thoughts that we probably don't have time to get through.
Yeah, from a production house and a distribution side, it is a phase. I think it will fan out because, again, the very few that are good enough and should be developed will get developed and they'll be successful. But if they go at the rate they're going, or what it's looking like they're going to start doing, just pumping out content creator slop, they're going to get over it pretty quick because they're going to lose a lot of money. And
exactly.
However, from a creator standpoint, I think this is a great idea. Like, because we already see it. This is just another kind of avenue or element added to something. Create a short film and just post it. Like, I know that's like an adage as old as time at this point now, like in the digital age. And I guess I should say an adage as old as the digital age is like, just post it. Just like, but it's real though. Like, if you're making a short film, get it on YouTube. If you're writing a book, get it on Reddit, get it on
Yep.
Wattpad, get it on all these different, or like publicize it everywhere you can go. Even, yes, people are tired of it. However, people are not tired of seeing things that they're interested in. People are not tired of being of creativity and good stories or things
Yep.
they connect to. So from the creator's side, I think this is awesome. I think this is really cool because it does set kind of like a framework of like, well, maybe one day. And what that for me means, most people will not get noticed by who they're trying to get noticed by if they do post to get picked up by like Warner.
Yeah.
However, it means a lot of really good stories are going to grace our screens,
Yeah.
regardless of avenue. And that, for me, gets me excited. It's like, look, I understand it might be disappointing. Oh, A24 didn't buy my movie. That is sad. However, I just got to read one of the best scripts I ever read, and I found it on Reddit. Because Kane Parsons inspired you to post it from all the stuff we've already talked about.
Yeah.
That, for me, is where I think that this is not a phase. But I think in terms of production houses buying, I think it'll probably phase out.
Exactly. We see that a lot right now, or at least I am in music artists, that they get their platform off of TikTok, posting 30, 45-second clips of original songs, and then it makes it that much quicker to get signed with someone, and they're going on tour like the next year. It's just that quick. And if they hadn't gone that route, like the social media route, to get their own platform, it would have taken years if it had even happened at all.
Oh yeah.
Because of how many people are trying to get in that industry. So yeah, I agree with you to go for it, but I'm hesitant about the production houses as well.
As last thing I'll say, as a multimedia creator, as someone who's done the documentary, the narrative, the corporate, the whole thing, if you're like, I want to, like, because you talk about YouTube, or not YouTube, you talk about music or people making music, and you go into TikTok or whatever, and the only thing I could think about is like filmmakers doing that, but then it got into the debate of like vertical or horizontal. Just do it horizontal. Like it's so overrated and so overblown that it has to be vertical because the algorithm does not care. Like, I'm gonna be so for real with you. Just post horizontal. Like it's okay. It's okay. The black margins are okay. Just post it. If you feel like people lose out on what the framing of your shot, just post it. And that's more of going into what I'm saying. Anywho, I'll get off my soapbox. And we're going to get out of segment 2. So coming up after the break, we talk about what you should know before you go. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Screen. You've made it to segment 3, which is always our quick hits segment. So for those who are new here, who don't know what our quick hits are, there's a lot that goes on in Hollywood and a lot that goes on in entertainment as a whole. We want to talk about as much as possible, but not all of them are worthy of a deep dive. So after our main news segment, we give you between 5 and 8 usually every week headlines that after 1 to 3 sentences, that's enough. In terms of like you get the gist of what's happening, and then we give our quick opinions, and then we'll get you out of here. So this is how we end our show. But before we get into that, I always take kind of the first 2 minutes of our third segment just to say thank you, because the fact that we are here and the fact that we put in the effort we do is because you watch, and because we talk about what we were just talking about before. Just post it, just do it. It's because you're here. And again, we're a growing channel, and so every new face is just an absolutely ray of sunshine, and we love that you're here. But the fact that you allow us to do this is nutty to me, and I cannot express how thankful I am that you allow us to read about this, have opinions, and talk about it. If you want to get involved and be in the discussion, comment down below, regardless of where you're finding this, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or even Spotify. You can reach us, and we will see it. We will find it, and we would absolutely love to highlight you and talk about you, the viewer, if you have an opinion. So, get involved if you like our opinions, or you want us to talk about certain things, or you want us to have a opinion or fight your opinion or whatever. We're here for it. So anyway, with that out of the way, like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, follow, whatever that looks like, whatever platform you're on, do the thing, because it always helps a lot. And thank you for watching. With that out of the way, let's get into what you should know before you go. Starting off, Sing 3 is officially in the works at Illumination, with franchise director Garth Jennings attached. Do we like the Sing franchise? I'm gonna be so for real.
It's popular.
It just missed me. Like, I was of the age where I was like close to a teenager, if not already a teenager, when they
Yeah.
started coming out. So when
Yeah.
they started coming out, I just was not really that interested. I know we're the same age, so you're probably right there
I was
with
13,
me.
yeah.
13, yeah. So it came out in what I'm looking for the year 2016. The first one came
24.
out in
Okay.
2016. So I was
I was
15.
14, yeah.
So the point is, it too young or too old, like young enough to see it, but too old to really care. And I've seen a lot of people like it. I've seen a lot of really fun, like the musical numbers. Obviously, it's a film called Sing 2. I'd imagine it's great, and you see them online. But
I
cool
will
for the
say,
kids.
when it came out, I saw it with a couple of theater friends in theaters, and we really liked it. But also, it was in theater, so I can see that being a big hit for musical people.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Whenever it hits theaters, it'll probably be top 3.
It
Like it
was
will do
fun,
well.
yeah.
A family feature film, especially a sing along. I mean,
Sing along. Yeah.
K-pop Demon Hunters. If that's not enough, and especially the fact that this is 3, so Sing 1 and 2 have both obviously. We don't need to prove to you why that's around. The point is, it's exciting. It's in the works, but I guess not that we don't care. We just
I'm kind
it
of too
doesn't.
old for it all now, yeah.
We're not the target audience. And then we move on. Speaking of target audience, this is more our style. This next one.
Yes, yeah.
As grown adults, as refined members of society, we look forward to a new Sesame Street movie. Because it's been greenlit by Netflix, the streaming giant reportedly won a massive bidding war against Universal and Warner. While no story beats have been released, Rideback, which is a production house that produced the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series at Netflix, they also helped produce Godzilla vs. Kong and so on and so forth, will reportedly produce with Sesame Workshop. So you can imagine who they are. They're the people who've made the show since its inception years and years and years ago. That's a weird pairing. That's a very weird...
Netflix and Sesame Street?
Well,
Is that what you're saying? Because I thought that was strange. I would not say that Netflix would be the one to grab at that.
Netflix technically owns or has the distribution rights to Sesame Street itself.
Why would Netflix have that?
Because HBO lost it. So it releases on PBS like normal, but it goes on streaming on Netflix. So they don't own it. But so if I remember correctly, HBO had it to where it would air on Max first, and it had to be like 3 weeks on Max before it could release on like the cable, the free cable news or the cable channel.
Yeah.
And then there was like some hoopla about funding, and so Sesame Street left and they went to Netflix. And if I remember correctly, Netflix was like, yeah, you can post it anywhere. Like you could just like we'll post it, like as long you can post it on our stuff, you can post it on your app because Sesame Street has a PBS app. You could post it on like the channels. So Netflix like has, if I remember correctly, Netflix has already like that. I'm not so shocked about Netflix. I'm Rideback, like which is like again Avatar: The Last Airbender, Godzilla vs. Kong. Like from what I saw, they're like an action troupe. And
what are they doing at Sesame Street?
Yeah, now they're working with Big Bird and Elmo. You know what I mean?
Watch it be this like parody movie where they're like fighting and they're like in battle. It's like a military.
It's gonna be like the Muppets. Like that would be what I could see it, because the Muppets would do that. They would totally like. There's that. What is that? Now we're jumping another franchise from that to now to Looney Tunes, but like there's that one clip from like the newest Looney Tunes show where Daffy is like in the Marines or whatever, and he's breaking. Have you not seen this?
No.
It's this really funny clip where, because this show was unhinged in the 2010s. The newest iteration of Looney Tunes.
Oh, the
Bugs is in a jail. And Daffy busts in with like a full like a platoon of soldiers, and they're shooting at these guards, and they have this conversation really quickly of like, Daffy, why are you here? And like they talked about whatever and yada yada yada. So anyway,
the Looney Tunes show, the
point
series,
is, it was
right?
so unhinged. Yes, that one. It's so
funny.
unhinged because Daffy's just in the military and he's saving Bugs, and they have no idea what the other's doing and why they're there. That could be like what this would be, like that what you're describing. Now it won't be. But that would be pretty funny.
I think I'm not that happy about it because I think they should just leave Sesame Street alone.
Money.
I wonder if it's going to be like an educational thing or something for both adults and children.
Might be a bit of both. I would say, I mean, you can't lose the whole point of Sesame Street, but also you got to make it enjoyable for mass audiences. So I'd say they'd probably do enough to make it to where like your 12-year-old could go watch it and probably enjoy it, like as a kid, as like an older kid, but like your parents would want to take you, and then they're not having a terrible time.
I can see it being like the Muppets movie, like from 2012 or whatever, where it's like, it's funny, it's a warm, inviting, lighthearted, hope core kind of film.
I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that. Me neither. But I think that's a good point to go ahead and hop into our next quick hit. Proximity Media, led by star filmmaker Ryan Coogler, has officially signed on with Netflix, another Netflix, with a multi-year original TV series deal. This ends an otherwise interesting partnership with Disney, which saw series like Ironheart and Eyes of Wakanda developed by Proximity Media, again for Disney+. Ryan Coogler, he's one of those that anything he touches is just gold. We said it about Andrew Garfield before. Ryan Coogler is the exact same thing. What I love about this is, for me, this signals that the guy is like, I'm done with, like not done per se, but like I'm moving on from superhero. If Sinners wasn't enough, he now, his banner that makes TV series is now moving to a place where he can make something else. So, and probably get more money from it. So as much as I hate Netflix, good for them.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Them having Sesame Street makes 0 sense.
Again, they want to hit as many audiences as possible. And something, oh no, I have it down here. Actually, we're going to do this next because I'm going to just get all of Netflix out of the way.
Okay.
After missing out on Warner, Netflix is reportedly eyeing a potential purchase of Lionsgate, which owns The Hunger Games, Twilight, John Wick, and Saw, and amongst others. That would be another huge blow to Hollywood, but also it'd be just in terms of a merger, it would just... Let me point it this way. Last week, we talked about how the DOJ greenlit, which there's so many hoops to jump through still, so this is not a death blow to those who do not want the merger to go through between Paramount and Warner. But the DOJ did greenlight their merger, arguing that specifically, and the major point was that, look, neither Warner nor Paramount can compete with Disney, Amazon, or Netflix, which HBO Max arguably does compete with those, if not beats most of them. But we're going to ignore that fact. I guess that they're saying that Paramount is so low that even if it meshes with HBO, that it won't make that much. Like, they're not growing that much more. HBO is not getting that much better with Paramount, is what they're arguing.
Yeah.
Anyway, the major point from what I took away from it was that they were saying, okay, like, not only does that create 4 massive like houses instead of 3 technically, because they're not seeing HBO and Warner as one of the top 3. But the idea is that there's so many other smaller houses underneath those. Like, again, we talked about Neon, we talked about Mubi, we talked about A24. Lionsgate's one of those. Lionsgate's huge. Lionsgate just released the Michael movie earlier this year, which has made close to $1 billion. That production house is the one about to get, or in the eyes or in the crosshairs of Netflix to be bought. That really throws a wrench in the eyes of the logic the DOJ was using when they were kind of giving the green light to this other one, because there's so much competition.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden Netflix is trying to buy someone else.
That doesn't look good.
No, and the only thing I can say is that, like, so many regulatory bodies have to look at this, that I'm hoping that the precedent will be set with Paramount and Warner, that it will just not happen. That they, like, the precedent is this does not work. Yeah. And it gets the axe, and they can't merge, and then Netflix can't buy Lionsgate, because then now we have again the precedent set.
Yep.
But who knows? That could legitimately be like a 5-year endeavor. We're waiting we could genuinely be waiting years before Paramount and Warner have a final resolution. Is it worth
it? Like, at that point, if I was on their team, I'd be like, why are we doing this?
But, well, things like HBO is worth it. The Harry Potter franchise is worth it. You know, like the DC is worth it. Like, these are individually multi-billion dollar franchises or streamers by themselves. So for Paramount, they want to wait it out as long as possible. But the problem is time's not on their side. A, because of all the different regulatory bodies. And B, the thing about our nation is that they flip.
Greedy.
Greedy. Sorry. Capitalism and all that.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
But the House and in all of our policies, they flip every now and then, right? I say every now and then very hyperbolically. Like, it's pretty frequently that we have conservative ran this, conservative ran that, and then 4 to 8 years later, it's liberal ran this, liberal ran that.
Yep.
So it's going to flip the other way, and when it does flip the other way, the other way does not like this. And the other way is chomping at the bit to bust this up.
Right.
So the longer this takes, the less likely things are going to happen. So that's why you're seeing all this happening now, is because they're trying to get it in while they can. At least in my theory, what I would imagine is because you have a $1 billion business pro government right now, you know, and so where there should be busting, there's not, and that could be why we're seeing a lot of this happening now. But my thing is, lawmakers just have to hold off for like 2 years, and then it's probably going to flip.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to move on. Enough politics. This one's really fun. George Lucas has reportedly been cast in Minions and Monsters. The patriarch of Star Wars reportedly is a fan of the franchise, the Minions franchise, and wants a role in future films set within the franchise. So the guy wants to help make future Minion films, and apparently, I'm quite fond of the Minion, the little yellow guy, says George Lucas. Why?
I have no idea. He goes from Star Wars to Minions. I feel like that doesn't really translate.
Can you imagine one of the fathers of modern day cinema, one of the forefathers? It's like Lucas, Spielberg. You could probably say like Scorsese and like Kubrick, but like it doesn't have to be four. I'm just shooting four off the dome. I mean, there's so many more. James Cameron. There's, I'm just naming directors now, but the point is, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This guy is sitting back and he's, again, I like the yellow guy. Like that's just like such a odd pairing, but like I guess good for them because good storytelling's on the horizon in the world of Minions. The dude's 80 years old. I think he's bored. I think
he just wants to, live it up. Maybe he's had it on his bucket list for a while. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
He just opened his like museum, his like George. It's not Star Wars. It's in LA or it's in Cali at least. It's not just Star Wars. It's like his whole thing, like because he's a collector from what I remember, and he just put all this stuff in a museum, and he's like, all right, it's open, and now people can like go see like stuff from his like career and stuff he's collected, and there's like a whole Star Wars room in there. So he like opened that not long ago, and now he's like, I gotta do something else now. And he's you know what? I like the Minion. And so now we're having George Lucas era of Illumination in the Minion franchise.
It's 2026, I guess.
Live it up, George.
At this point, I'm not really surprised by much.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point to jump. We have two more quick stories here. Curry Barker, director of Obsession, for those who don't know, who've been living under a rock, heads to Universal for his next project with an 8-figure deal. So a lot of money.
Wow.
Something to keep in mind, according to the dailies, Blumhouse Atomic Monster is also attached, which will be the duo's third endeavor together, that being the production house and Curry Barker. Their third endeavor together after Obsession and Barker's unreleased, already shot project titled Anything But Ghosts, which is the one that he's been teasing where it's like they're a fake ghost hunting team who runs into a real ghost.
Yeah.
And they have like, I guess it's gonna be like a comedy. I think him and his longtime collaborator from their TikTok and Instagram accounts, they're starring in it. So that's not come out yet, but Blumhouse Atomic Monster, they're like, and Curry Barker are just like, and they're together. So are we excited for an 8-figure level Obsession type of movie from Curry Barker with Universal?
Absolutely, especially because this seems more paranormal, which is absolutely up my alley. In fact, that's the only kind of horror movie that I can handle. However, wouldn't it be really funny if it was just like bad?
Yeah,
would that be so funny? Like that would be like the most shocking thing. Everyone's like, oh.
Yeah, I wonder too, because it's like he's talked about having an idea for a sequel to Obsession, and there have been talks about it already being greenlit, but Universal doesn't own the IP to that, which is interesting because. Well, wait, no, yeah, they do, because Focus Features is owned by Universal.
I have no idea. That's all you.
Let me double check. It is owned by. Never mind. Its parent company is Universal, so they do own that. So this could be the sequel that is the 8-figure deal. I had to check myself because for some reason I was thinking that Obsession was made by Neon because we talked a lot about Neon earlier. It is not Neon. It is Focus Features. So this could be what this is. I mean, realistically, they could be just like, hey. Make another one. Sign the contract. Make another one.
Yeah.
And listen again. I've already listen. I have said it already. I'd be like, okay,
You got it, pal. If you're
You know what?
twisting my arm.
How many zeros are in the end of that? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, congratulations, Mr. Barker, and Godspeed. Good luck.
Yeah, I look forward to watching that.
I look forward to seeing your next few films. And lastly, our last, and this is a very interesting piece of media to share with you all today, the lovely people at home. Legendary actor Sean Penn is reportedly set to direct a film inspired by the early life of a police officer who was at the January 6th Capitol insurrection, with Bradley Cooper rumored to star. Do we look forward to something like this? What do we think the public perception or reception will be from such kind of a divisive synopsis?
I think it's going to get a lot of views, at least. People are going to want to watch it, and then it's going to blow up from engagement, because even the haters are going to bring in engagement and make more people want to see it. And it's so recent that it's like people are passionate about it, remember it, and it's relevant, you know?
Yeah, it depends on, I think, its release window. It has just been literally announced. Like, there's not even, from what I understand, there's probably not even a script done yet.
Yeah.
So there's no timetable for that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's released like next year, I think we could see this. We talked about Stanley Cooper, literally, or Stanley Cooper. We talked about Sebastian Stan, literally, just past segment. He was also in a film called The Apprentice, where he was portraying Donald Trump. And that did not get released. Or it did get released, but it was so it was produced by like an international team, and they were going to release it. He plays Trump. And it was supposed to be like this really eye-opening, like, I guess, like, honest take on his life, which I mean, you know, they wasn't looking at him very nicely. So how honest, you know, like, that is like the question of like, I'm not here to defend the guy, because trust me, I have a lot of opinions about the person that Sebastian Stan was portraying in The Apprentice. Like, don't get me wrong. However, have your opinions on that. They called it honest. I will say I have never seen it, and I don't know.
I've never heard about that.
Oh yeah, it had a ton of, like, the Trump estate like sued, and it was like this whole thing where like, and that's why it didn't get released.
It's the Michael Jackson thing all over again.
Which makes you believe there might have been some truth to it, because they fought so hard to get it released. That's what I'm saying, is like, I'm not saying if or against, because if you ask me my personal opinion, I have an opinion that would probably want this to be released, but I'm not here to give my personal opinion. I'm here to say, who knows? Yeah. But the point is, we have seen films like this about similar things with this president get blocked, have roadblocks, and production houses or distributors be fearful to even throw it out there. Yep. So I have a feeling that it depends on when, because if it's released again after 2028, there's a good chance that it could get distributed. Yeah. Before, it's 50-50 in my book. And B, I think regardless of outlook, there will only be one half of the audience that will want to go see it, because politically there's a divide. It depends on how it's marketed, because if it's marketed to cater towards one side, I can see that. But if it's marketed really vaguely, I can see both sides very curious about it and then going and seeing it. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe. Again, it just depends. And I think what's interesting about this is that, like, the side that would they take problem with this are also the side that like a type of movie where they're talking about a soldier's story, right? Like let's be real here. Oh yeah. Lone Survivor is a conservative's top 4 movie if they had a letterbox. I mean, and I'm not saying every conservative, but like, and I'm not, again, not being mean, not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, that is historically and stereotypically conservative. Yeah. Conservative or those leaning Republicans usually like a good wartime story, or like that type of whatever. So this kind of fits that archetype, following a cop who was at the event, right? However, the event, some people argue about what it actually was. Yeah. And that could also cause problems. So there is a lot of like this. And my thing is, Sean Penn, this is my big point. Sean Penn does not care. Sean Penn has historically, like, he's an old man who will tell you as it is, and he will not think twice about if it hurt your feelings. The guy refused to show up to his own Oscar win this past year. He won Best Supporting Actor. Didn't even show up because he was mad and wanted to make a point.
What was he mad about?
I think it was Ukraine. It was something political in that sense. It could have been Gaza. It was something very politically driven, as is.
He might not care, but like, what production houses are gonna want to
see? That's the thing too. He's wealthy enough. Him and Bradley Cooper. And Bradley Cooper also is known to do roles like this. Like he's known to do very personal, very art housey, very raw types of roles. So them together, I'd be shocked if Sean Penn doesn't have his own production company. To be honest with you. They probably have the funds to make it themselves. And there's going to be someone come along who's going to fund it. I'm not worried about it getting made. I just don't even know, depending on when it's released, depending on kind of the political atmosphere of what's going on when it comes around to distribution, is it going to be kosher or not? I don't know. I would look forward to seeing what it would tell, what story it would tell. I would look forward to it.
I feel like the Trump administration is doing the same thing that the Jackson Estate or Michael,
yeah,
that kind of thing. Like what they're doing with the latest Michael Jackson story. They're like, you can't say anything bad about him, and it's deterring people from telling stories about that person because they'll sue. Like they are so trigger happy, you know, like.
But remember, it shouldn't even be a problem because remember, he said that they should do it peacefully.
That's not my thing. If you're making a story about a topic like that.
Anyway, I'll leave it at that because I don't want, we talk about politics, but we don't talk about politics in the lens of media, and I don't want to get off topic.
Objectively, yeah.
I don't want to break that trend. And that, my friends, has been Beyond the Screen. We usually do we'll end our show. I forgot. I was writing my script while I was on a beach in Savannah, so I didn't really brainstorm this. It's my turn, I guess. I'll do it right now.
Okay.
We always end our show with a watch recommendation. We say, hey, you should watch this movie. And I feel like I did this one last time, but I am still watching it. And I went on vacation and I haven't been watching as much TV or movies. Like I didn't get to watch a movie this past week. So I'm going to recommend it again, even though it's been a long time since I think it's been like 3 weeks since I reviewed or recommended it. And I unless I didn't, and I thought I was going to say this, I don't care. I'm going to recommend it. Watch Free Rent. It is such a whimsical tale of like, if you like D&D, if you like fantasy, if you like a Knight's Tale, if you like those types of like, not medieval, but like those just, oh, it's so magical. And it is just so down to earth. The story is about discovering one's humanity from the perspective of someone who's not human, which is very fun. And really it's about the passage of time and about like how you spend time with loved ones and how loved ones are remembered. And anyway, that's how I perceive a lot of it. I am not done with it. So there's a lot that I haven't gotten to yet that might add to how I describe it later. So forgive me if I haven't gotten there yet, but watch Free Rent if you want to have a good night's sleep, or if you want to just have a good time and just relax and just enjoy some silly, goofy, haha characters. So it's not like silly per se, but there are silly moments, but they're just very sweet, very, very happy, very, very like
wholesome.
I feel better about everything right now. So
yeah.
Watch Free Rent. That's my recommendation of the week. I don't care if it's the second time I've recommended it. I'll recommend it again. And that, my friends, is Beyond the Screen. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you. That, believe it or not, that happens when I'm just out and about too. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys next week. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye.